What's up, gang? How we doing today? Welcome back to Feral Woodcraft. My name is Joe. It is excellent to see you here today. Well, I'm going to go ahead and spill the beans a little bit on an upcoming project that I have. The next couple 3 weeks, I'm going to be putting out a video. I don't know exactly what the title is going to be. Something along the lines of, you know, my 5 or 6 favorite knives to come out in 2016. And to spill the beans a little bit, the knife I'm about to show you is on that list. This is the Bark River Canoe. As you can see, it has picked up somewhat of a patina. Received a box with several Bark River blades in it a couple months ago and immediately took to this one. It is just plain cool. Like I said, this is the Bark River Canoe and I have nothing bad to say about this knife. I'm going to go ahead and jump straight to that. To keep from making one of my famous long rambling stories that everybody's behind the camera just sitting there going, let me jump ahead. When I first saw this knife, it's like holding a piece of history in your hand. This was first designed by Marbles. This is a slightly different take from a Bark River, but the Marbles Canoe, this is what that is based off of. The handle is slightly longer than the Marbles Canoe, but aside from that, it is basically the same general design. When I was holding it, playing with it, you know, our modern knives are so design specific. You have a one tool option, which is supposed to be great for that, you know, mythical survival situation out in the woods. You have a bushcraft knife, you have hunting knife. They seem to be very design specific. I looked at this, and this is, like I said, it's a piece of history in your hand. It is just a beautiful knife, but it is dissimilar to most of the modern designs today, which I know that's not straight across the board, but you see more of the bushcrafty or survival or hunting, you know, design specific styles. So I called up Mike Stewart and I was like, Mike, this is an awesome knife. I love everything about it. I've been using it for all my regular stuff and there's nothing it doesn't do well. Back in the early 1900s when this knife was first designed, what was it designed for? And he said, well, Joe, let me tell you. And for those that don't know, when you hear Mike kind of chuckle like that, get ready for a history lesson. So anyway, Mike proceeded to spend the next 45 minutes telling me exactly what this knife was for. It's for everything. It's a general use knife. This was their camping knife. This was their backpacking knife. This was their hunting knife. This was their bushcraft knife. It was designed to do everything because back in those days, it was very rare to have a purpose specific knife. They had one knife for everything instead of, you know, one knife for this specific task, if that makes sense. Anyway, I have rambled on by far too much. Before we get too far into this, let's go ahead and get the specs out of the way so you guys are more informed about the knife, its size, how it might fit in your hand, etc., and then we'll move on to the fun stuff. Again, folks, this is the Bark River Canoe. Overall length is 9.125 inches long. The blade length itself is 4.25 inches long. The cutting edge length is 4 inches long. The blade height is 0.875 inches. The thickness of the blade is 0.156 inches. The blade steel is A2 tool steel with a Rockwell hardness of 58 to 60. The weight is 4.65 ounces. The pommel and the finger guard are polished aluminum. The sheath is a standard Bark River style sheath. You do have a couple different options with it. You can get the regular brown leather. It does come in black as you see here. You can also get the sheath waterproofed through Bark River for about $15 extra. As usual with Bark River knives, the prices vary a good bit depending on the handle scale material that you choose, but the base price for this knife starts out at just over $200, $210, $215, something like that. There's just so much cool about this knife. Where does one begin? Let's go ahead and just start at the front and move our way backwards. As you can see, it has a nice fine tip. It does all that bushcrafty stuff extremely well. It will easily create a bow drill set. It'll create the divot for the hearth board, create a divot in the bearing block. No problem there whatsoever. You do have a nice fuller here, which creates a perfect balance in your hand. It is like it is an extension of your hand there. I had never really fully appreciated the, no pun intended, fuller on a knife until I held this one in my hand. It does come with Bark River's classic convex grind, which, as I have said many times, depending on how you angle it to bite into the wood, it acts like a Scandi when you want it to, or it acts like a thicker convex when you want it to. The overall length of the blade, I have found it to be very handy for pretty much anything that I am doing. You know, obviously this is not a chopper. You're not going to go out into the woods and clear a path to Cancun or something like that. It is a great size for camping and backpacking. If memory serves, the weight at 4.65 ounces, something like that. It's nice and light. It's not going to weigh you down, so you can add it to your pack, or if you have a dangler set up or something, you can add it to your belt while backpacking, and it's not going to drag you down. You're not really going to know it's there. I mean, I realize there's ultralight backpackers out there that will nitpick over that weight, but I'm not one of those, so I'm not worried about it. The angle of the edge here, has a nice belly, a nice sweep overall. It'd make a nice hunting knife, a nice butcher knife. You would not have any problem, I don't think, with field dressing a deer or any other animal. Again, going back to that constant sweep, as we've seen over the past couple years, there's been an influx of knives coming out with a constant sweep, you know, off takes of Nest Mix and Chris Tanner's Jessmic and JX4, JX6, stuff like that. That constant sweeping blade style has become very popular for good reason. It excels at bushcraft tasks. So whatever cut you're making, you're always cutting at an angle, or that slice is at an angle. So it makes it more efficient and it makes it an easier process. Moving on down the blade, we do have a finger guard here. Now there's some misinformation on the net. Some folks are saying that the finger guard and the pommel here are stainless steel. That is not true. These are aluminum, polished aluminum. And after the finger guard, let's talk about the handle just for a minute. When I first saw this online, I was thinking, man, that is an absolutely stunning knife. But that handle looks tiny. I'm not sure that'll work for me. I was wrong. You know, it doesn't fill out my hand quite as well as most other knives that I would prefer them do. However, I will say, because of the angle here, it allows me to pivot the knife in my hand to fit with whatever action or cut or etc. that I'm doing. I've had maybe a little bit of hand fatigue after a long day's work with it, but at the same point in time, I would probably receive that from just about any other knife that I own. So that's not a critique there. The handle is perfect for this blade geometry and size, in my opinion. No complaints whatsoever there. Moving on down to the pommel. The pommel is pretty much what I would consider to be aesthetic in nature. Because it is just polished aluminum, it's not really going to stand up to a lot of abuse, I don't think, in my opinion. I could be wrong there, but I wouldn't feel comfortable pounding on anything with it. So for all of my yakking and all of my rambling, this is a good overall general purpose knife. From camping, backpacking, bushcrafting, so to speak, just doing whatever you need to do out in the woods, all the way back into the kitchen. This knife does an excellent job. And it's beautiful. Have I mentioned that? I don't think I've mentioned that. It is very, very pretty. I like it a lot. It just has an excellent balance in the hand. I know I've mentioned this before, but it is like an extension of my hand that you don't really feel it is there. It is very quick. It is very fast. Very precise, and I really like the uniqueness of it. This knife was originally designed around the early 1900s. This has been Bark River's and American Knife Company's retake, or their take on the Marbles Canoe, and I really enjoy it. It is one of the most unique knives I have in my collection, and it just works spectacularly. I have nothing negative to say about this knife whatsoever. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed the video. I've enjoyed showing it off to you. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. I would appreciate it. If you enjoy videos like this, enjoy content such as this, there's a subscribe button down here somewhere. I invite you to make use of that. And as always, guys, hit that comment section up. Let's talk about this knife, any other knife you're interested in, and we'll just have a good conversation together. Anyway, thank you again for being here today, and I will see you next time. I hope you guys have a great day.